Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, only 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and Mario Kart. Each town has a wise man. Learn from him. So the Nintendo Cartridge Society learns from him with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Switch 2 sales forecasts. And then on Thursday, we're talking about our favorite video game countdowns. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. That was kind of an accidental tongue twister that we didn't mean to throw at you.
Which part?
The Nintendo Switch 2 sales forecast.
Here's the thing. I left out the word Nintendo. I just said Switch 2 sales forecast.
Even that.
Mark, I was listening to a podcast today, and there was a commercial part of the podcast. I don't remember what the product was, but they were like, we all know that, sometimes you need like a duo to take care of something, right? And they started as though they were going to start listing duos, and they were like superheroes and sidekicks. And I was just like, have we lost the common touch point of what superhero and what sidekick you use? Like if this was your assignment, right? And you saw superheroes and sidekicks, wouldn't you go strike through Batman and Robin?
But maybe, especially because it's commercial, they don't want to use copyrighted terms.
That's a great point.
So maybe it was originally Batman and Robin, and somebody was like, what's a generic term that we can use for this?
Yeah, that is an excellent point. But I also started to think about it, and like, we haven't seen a Robin in movies in a long time.
No, it's true.
And like, what is the current cultural touch point for Robin? Probably just Teen Titans.
Well, yeah, and that's how many
Batman
years old at this point.
Yeah, both things true. Yes.
And then also, yeah, I was thinking about that too with the release of this new, with the idea of like classic superheroes.
Yes.
Right? Because there's a new Superman movie coming out this summer, and is Superman culturally relevant anymore?
What do people know about Superman?
Right. Is like, because I feel like in some ways Superman has the potential to be like Indiana Jones, which is a character that kids do not care about nowadays.
Right. I mean, I do wonder if like the Zack Snyder movies like have incubated that like a little bit, and there's like a younger generation that is still like older now, but that they have some sort of perception of what Superman is from that context.
Right. Possibly.
Honestly, I feel like you and I are in the perfect age group to care not at all about Superman. Right.
Right.
Because like by the time we were growing up, the Christopher Reeve movies were like old hat, and then like Superman Returns is kind of a dud, and then like by the time Snyder gets around to him, like we're sick of like grimdark superheroes, and so it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like you and I are like perfectly positioned to not really care about this new movie.
Right. And then like for a younger generation,
right,
what relevant Superman thing has there been?
I don't know.
For anybody younger than us.
I mean, I think the crazy thing is that it is less a Superman movie and more a James Gunn movie. I almost think Gunn's name is the
thing that gets people in.
Yeah,
the
it's above the title, right? It's like James Gunn's Superman.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Of course, this is not a superhero podcast.
No, nor is it a movie podcast. This is a video game podcast. And if you would like to support us talking about video games, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of minigames like NCS Arcade.
Mini-series, even.
What did I say?
Minigames.
That doesn't make any sense.
And the mini-series we are making our way through right now is NCS Arcade.
Minigame, please.
And in NCS Arcade, Patrick and I are playing games, for the most part, that we've never beaten before, and we just talked about Okami.
Yep.
That episode released on Sunday, and for the month of May, we are going to be playing Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy
Yes.
Advance.
This is the main feed announcement of that. We, of course, revealed it at the end of our Okami episode. But yeah, next is Wario Land 4. You can play it on Nintendo Switch Online, plus expansion pack. I think we're both pretty excited for this one, too. But we had a great conversation about Okami. If you are subscribing at the 8 or 16-bit levels and have not checked it out already, go back and look into it. If you are following us on any level, we will be doing a listener feedback episode where we respond to your emails that contain complaints or questions or observations about Okami. So send those in to us, Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
And we will include them in the listener feedback episode.
Yes, that's right. Those are always a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a Discord. If you're not in there yet, email us. We'll send you an invitation. You can chit-chat about how you are doing at pre-ordering Switch 2. Maybe people have doubles and want to like talk tradesies. And maybe there's we got a ton of new Nintendo stuff coming out this year. It's a good place to chat with people about it. Also, Mark, we are coming up on our 866th episode of this show.
Yes, and in every news episode, we have a segment called 433 where we spend 4 minutes and 33 seconds talking about something not Nintendo related.
Yes.
And for our 866th episode, we're going to do an entire episode full of 433s, but these 433s are going to be suggested by you, the listener. So we need you to write into us with any questions that you have about anything that is not Nintendo related that you would like us to answer.
And I know it's tempting when you hear you, the listener, to be like, they're talking to someone else. No. If you are listening to this, you are the listener.
Yeah, we are talking to you.
Bill. And everyone else. So email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com
with those topics, and we will use them in the episode. It is now 5 weeks away, our 866th episode. So you got time, but don't dawdle. Do it right now.
No time like the present.
Then you won't have to think about it.
Exactly.
In the future, when you hear us say, dear listener, send in questions, you'll know that does not apply to me.
Exactly.
I've already done it.
You can cross it off your to-do list, and there's fewer things that feel better than being able to remove something from your to-do list.
Yes.
Don't let this hang over you.
No.
Just get it out of the way. Get it done.
Right. Also, don't let the sun go down on me. Don't go breaking my heart.
I couldn't if I tried.
Don't stop me now.
Yeah.
And don't stop believing.
And
I'm sorry, I took the 4 easy ones.
No, I'll get there.
All right.
Don't scramble your eggs.
Don't scramble your eggs. Over easy, always, please. Also, I just want to shout out that Mark and I and previous guest on the show, friend of the show, Matt Acevedo, went on Connor McCabe's Call Me By Your Game co-op episodes about Shovel Knight. We talked about Shovel Knight, had a great time. That is available on their Patreon, but also the video version of it is on YouTube. So, I believe there's a link to it in our Discord right now. We will maybe include a link to it in the show notes.
Sounds
here.
great.
Perfect. So yeah, check that out. We had a super fun time talking Shovel Knight. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. To the extent that we can actually talk about because the only thing Nintendo-wise that I've been playing this week is Okami, cramming in as much as I could before the recording. I also continue to play Resident Evil 4, but you can hear about that on the Super NPC Radio Games Club. And Mark, you've been playing Wario Land 4.
Yeah, so can't really talk about that. I can talk about something kind of not Nintendo related, but it came up in the Discord. You posted it, so I do want to talk about it.
Yes.
Real quick.
Yes.
Is that Netflix got rid of its final kind of like choose your own adventure.
Yes.
Are those TV specials?
Those
I
gone
think
now?
they're gone as of today.
Okay.
When we're recording it, Monday, May 12th. And
so there were really just like 2 big ones that were still on
that
there,
were left
right?
because they had purged some of them earlier.
Right. And honestly, if you were to like press me as to what the others were, I don't think I would have an answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So the two like high profile ones, at least as far as we're concerned, were the Black Mirror Bandersnatch episode, and the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt's Kimmy versus the Reverend.
Yes, and so when you posted last week that they
Mhm.
were going to be taken down, I finally got around to messing with
Oh, fun.
Kimmy versus the Reverend, and it was really fun. It had some like really clever, like funny things, and I wish that I had had more time to do multiple loops through it.
Right, because you're like, oh, there are other jokes in here.
Yes,
I want to see the
yeah,
other jokes.
uh-huh.
Like, there's an early one where like Kimmy's trying on like a wedding dress, and like Titus is there, and you make a decision about like why he was late, right?
It's like
Or it's
it's
something.
like whether he should go to the gym or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's all just like really. I mean, there are meaningful choices too, but there are mundane things where it's really just like you get to choose which joke scene plays.
Yes, and it does like funny things where like can choose to, it plays the theme song, and
Right.
you can choose to skip intro, and if you choose to skip the intro, the person who sings the theme song comes out and is like, no, because you chose to skip intro, you're now going to watch a longer version
Oh,
of
that's
the
funny.
intro.
That's
and it's just
funny.
like stuff like that I don't know. I'm glad that I had a chance to at least check it out
Right.
and do it a little bit before it got taken off.
So I mean, I know you always say that forever is a long time, but like, when would this ever come back? Why would
Yeah.
it ever exist again
I
in
know.
the future?
I feel like it's one of those things that maybe in like 10 years somebody will recreate online.
Yeah,
Where because I'm hoping somebody like ripped all the different footage
yeah,
from it, and then somebody will build a website and like reconstruct it.
Yeah.
that allows you to play through it.
it's just like Netflix is maybe like the worst steward of this kind of thing, where like if something comes off of Netflix, you kind of just have to be like, well, that's gone forever. And yeah, if it's something like this that doesn't fit into like their normal like presentation of things, um it almost it makes me think like, well, why not just like re-release these things as like video games? Netflix has video games, right? And the fact that they were like running these choose your own adventure things through like their normal like presentation of Netflix, so you could like do it on anything, um I think sort of like hampered them, so that they would have to keep supporting that one thing. But if they just made it like an interactive video game that like, ran on, specs of whatever, wouldn't that be a solution? Am I wrong?
That'd be great if they did. It's basically like the original Dragon Slayer, right?
Totally, yeah.
But or Dragon's Lair. What was that?
Dragon's Lair.
The Dragon's
yes.
Lair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe they will. That would be awesome. My guess is it just wasn't like, how many people are going
Right.
to
No one was watching them.
or would subscribe to play it. I don't know. It's all
Sure.
that kind of stuff. But
Right.
anyways, I know, not Nintendo related. Off to a rough start for this episode if you're here for Nintendo news. But just
I
wanted
don't
to
get it. We talked about Kimmy Schmidt. We talked about Superman.
just wanted to shout it out.
All right. Well, Mark, let's get. That's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Hey, the Nintendo Music app.
Yeah.
So last week was kind of the tail end of Golden Week in Japan, and we weren't entirely sure if we were going to get new music at all, and we didn't really. So last Tuesday, they did update it with a new Zelda playlist that was the Legend of Zelda series selects, but it didn't include any new music.
Right. It was just a new playlist that was highlighting the best of the best, or the most iconic in Zelda.
But this week we're back to regular releases at the expected time with Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah. So now both like mainline Switch Pokemon games are represented on the app.
Yep.
Mhm.
Let's see. Today, Tuesday, May 13th, the Nintendo GameCube controller becomes available for pre-order for everyone on the Nintendo of America My Nintendo shop.
Now, when you say everyone, you still just mean people who are subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The difference is that if you had received an invite from Nintendo to pre-order a Switch 2 through them,
Right.
if the GameCube controller was included as an accessory that you could pre-order. But yes, you
which
still
we'll talk about more in a little bit. But yes, everyone else, for everyone else, and we don't know like a time that these become available or anything like that. But so yeah, it could be even by the time episode is released that the window for that has closed, right?
possibly, yeah. Who knows how many they made? Who knows what demand will be?
Right.
Yeah. But theoretically available today.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you want a GameCube controller and you haven't been able to pre-order one yet with the Switch, get online, see if you can.
And then on Thursday, May 15th, Shovel Knight Dig Wicked Wishes DLC is available.
This I'm very excited about. This is the last bit of free DLC. They had a I forget what it was called, but like it was basically like a hard mode for Shovel Knight Dig that was added in the last set of DLC. And this is the Wicked Wishes, which is more it's like there's a genie, and so there are like specific challenges, and like there's a horse guy in there who's also like making you do specific things. There's more bosses, and I'm very excited to because I've always wanted a reason to dig back. I did not mean to say that. To get back into Shovel Knight Dig, and this is going to be enough for me to check it out again. The PlayStation and Xbox versions of Shovel Knight Dig also come out on May 15th, and of course they will be complete with both sets of DLC that were previously released on like iOS and Switch. So
Was Shovel Knight Dig part of the treasure trove?
no, it was not.
Oh, okay, it was
yeah,
a separate thing.
That's right. And it's not developed by Yacht Club. It's published by them and like in partnership with another studio. So yeah, it's not part of just like Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is another one that's like an offshoot of it. And is an example of Yacht Club like playing nice with other developers. So, but yeah, I love Dig. So
And then on Thursday, also, Lego Super Mario Kart. Oh, no. Lego Super Mario, Mario Kart
Yep.
is released.
So if you're into the Mario Legos Mario Kart,
And then finally on Friday, May 16th, the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is releasing.
Mark, I've been waiting for this one. It's very exciting. It has two of my favorite Capcom fighters, Power Stone and Power Stone 2, all available as part of this collection. As well as Project Justice, which is the sequel to Rival Schools, two different Capcom versus SNK games, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, which is the arcade version of which has never been available on consoles before, Capcom Fighting Evolution, which is basically when Capcom was like, hey, we made all these like crossover and like mashup games. What if we just did one that was like all Capcom characters? Awesome. Yeah, it's just an incredibly cool collection, and they've done these before, where they put out obviously Fighting Collection 1 and the Marvel vs. Capcom collection and the Street Fighter collection, and they're all like excellent examples of what these collections can be. Great like galleries and art and music and all this kind of stuff. They're always kind of hard to like play because there's so much game in each one. But I gotta have it.
Yeah, are you going to buy it on Switch? Are you going to buy it on PlayStation? Are you going to buy it on both places?
Oh, yeah, this is the age-old question, right? I'm definitely going to buy it on Switch. And let me tell you why. So for so many fighting games, you want to play multiplayer. You want to play two-player. And for some of these, especially like a 2D fighter, you can go online and you can play you can do matches online. But Power Stone is such a like couch competitive, you're in the same room. It just has a more kind of party feel to it, where it's just like I need to. That's that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I only have one PlayStation controller, but I got like 100 Switch controllers. So yeah, definitely gonna get this one on Switch and not think twice about it. All right, so those are the new releases. Mark, let's close the segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, where a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece.
Okay, so what we're going to be doing this week
Yes.
is I have a list of from 2022 compiled by Cinemark in celebration of National Candy Day, which I don't think is in May. I think it's like
No,
in November or
it's
whatever.
in November, yes.
And they have the most popular movie theater candy by state.
Yes.
And so based on like sales in Cinemark theaters. So what we're going to do is I have the list. I have not looked at the list. Patrick has a method for us to randomly choose a state.
Which I'm going to start to do now while you're explaining.
Okay, and then we are going to collectively decide what we think the best-selling candy, movie theater candy, in that state is, and then I will look it up.
Okay, so we're starting with... Okay, great. So Georgia is the first.
Okay, great.
And first thing you gotta ask is like, is there a peach candy?
Is there a peach candy? Do you think that that's the driving force for what is the? Because I think we can probably start pretty like basic,
Basic,
right?
sure, okay.
Like movie theaters, they have Mike and Ike's. They have snow caps.
I'm not feeling chocolate though. I'm feeling or
okay.
even licorice. Like I'm thinking this is gonna be something like fruity, and not just because of the peach joke. I think like a southern movie snack is gonna be a little bit more like a Sour Patch Kids.
Oh wow. Okay, I think do we have to come to consensus, or can we each have different picks?
We can have different picks.
Okay, I am going to...
And then we'll decide who's closest.
Just because it's best selling, I'm going to go with something more basic because I think that Sour Patch Kids are too divisive. Like, I'm going to go with peanut M&Ms.
Oh, peanut M&Ms is solid. Okay.
Okay, I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. Oh my gosh, you were so close. Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers. So the little like sour worms.
Yeah, we're going to chalk that up as a Patrick victory. And I'm selecting the next state here by spinning the state wheel.
Okay.
Thank you again to pickerwheel.com. And we are now landing on Vermont has been selected.
Okay, Vermont. I feel like I'm staking my flag in the ground, and I am saying Vermont is the licorice people.
Oh, I mean, okay, yeah, you're imagining like an older population, right?
I am a traditional population, maybe.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, I think, but it's also far enough north that I think it needs to be hardy.
Okay.
So I'm thinking both hardy
tack. They move.
Yeah, that's right. They got hard tack. No, that's like for out west. I'm gonna say Junior Mints.
Junior Mints. Oh, that's a good guess. That's a good guess. Okay, let's see. Vermont. The answer is not on this list.
No, it simply must be.
No, it's not included. I'm not. Maybe they don't have a Cinemark. Maybe they don't have Cinemark in. I'm not joking. Right. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Cinemark only operates in 42 out of 50 states, and Vermont is not one of them.
All right. Well, if you're from Vermont, write in. Let us know why you have no Cinemarks and what your favorite candy is. Mark, I think we have time for one more, so I'm spinning the wheel.
Okay.
One more time. Pickerwheel.com. And here we go. We are landing on Utah.
Okay, do you want me to check to see if there are Cinemarks in Utah
No,
first?
I think you can't tell me if there are.
No, I don't know.
I'm removing the choice from the wheel. Mark, what do you think is the most popular movie theater candy?
I'm doubling down. I'm going to say the most popular movie theater candy in Utah is peanut M&Ms.
See, I'm going to say a simpler people, plain M&Ms.
Plain M&Ms. Here we go. Here we go. Utah, Red Vines.
Red Vines.
Red Vines, according to Cinemark.
We got 30 seconds left. We're going to spin one more time.
Okay. Yeah, because I've got to. I really want to tie this up.
Right. How do you feel about Red Vines? Do you like them?
I like them better than Twizzlers.
Okay. I have no opinion on the matter. Okay, Nebraska.
Okay, Nebraska.
Plain folk, people from the plain. They look out their windows. They see rows upon rows of corn that no human will ever eat. So I think this is a snack of desperation. I think this is going to.
Wow, you are painting a bleak picture for our listeners in Nebraska.
I'm not painting that picture. That's your state.
I know. I'm thinking of it as a vibrant, like.
Go on.
hobnob
Mhm.
of like good people.
Sure. Hey, the people can be fine. All right. So I think this is going to be nerds.
Nerds. Wow,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
thumbing your nose
hmm
at Nebraska.
I've eaten a nerd or two in my day.
Once again, I'm
Dude, go with peanut
I'm
M&Ms.
going with
Listen to your
peanut
heart.
M&Ms. I'm going with peanut M&Ms. I've
Mhm.
got to be right at one of these points. There's 50 states, but of course we will never know because apparently Cinemark doesn't operate in Nebraska.
I would qualify this 433 as a mild success.
Do you want me to tell you the states where they do operate?
Uh, sure. Well, no, because there's another 40 states left. We don't have that kind of time. But can we do my home state of Wisconsin and then California?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's definitely Cinemark in Wisconsin.
Okay. All right. I'm doing it.
So you're gonna say
I'm
peanut
peanut
M&Ms?
M&Ms.
I'm gonna say milk duds.
Okay. How well does Patrick know his own people? Poorly, but Mark, of course, is a champion. Peanut M&M.
See, now this is an overtime score for you. I don't think it counts 100%.
I think we should end it right here.
All right, fine.
No. Let's do California.
Okay,
Let's do California.
We'll do California, and
Yeah.
then we'll move on.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Skittles, maybe?
Sure. Taste the rainbow. That makes sense. It's a little bit more extreme. Yeah. Let's Skittles. I mean, I agree with that. I think that's good.
Okay.
Let's
go
go
see.
Skittles.
According to Cinemark in California, Red Vines.
Now I don't understand that one bit. I guess it's a big state, right?
Yeah. We'll
It's a
chalk
big
it up
state.
to that.
We'll
chalk it up to
There are
that.
a lot of people here. All right, Mark. We were accompanied by a timer on my phone and by the pick wheel. Let's get into the news.
So last Thursday in North America, Nintendo began pre-orders through their own My Nintendo store. The first time for like a new console, like console launch, that Nintendo in America has ever done this.
Yep.
And the way that it worked is that you could, beginning on April 5th, was right?
I think. Oh no, I think it was the 3rd. I think it was the day of the direct.
Yeah, you're right. The
Yeah.
day of the direct, you were able to sign up and register your interest for either the bundled Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart World or just the standard Nintendo Switch 2. And then
You had to meet two requirements, one of which being that you had been subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online for at least 12 months and have logged at least 50 hours of gameplay by the time that you registered on the 3rd.
yes, and then so the message was that it would be like on a first come first serve basis.
Yes. And that when you received your invitation, you had 72 hours in which to act. And we didn't really know or understand at that time what exactly you were signing up for, right? Other than just to pre-order the console.
Yeah, and like we didn't know how it was really going to work, what time the emails were going to start going out. But last Thursday at around like 9 a.m. Pacific time, we started seeing reports that invites had started going out. And
Which we did know the date that they were going to
yeah, we did know the date that they were going to start going out. And so it seems like there have been multiple waves, or were multiple waves,
right?
Going through that Thursday and then also continuing through Friday.
Right. Seemingly none over the weekend, but obviously we don't have our fingers on the pulse of everyone receiving these emails.
Yeah, but as far as I could tell from online, like not even today on Monday.
That's what I was going to ask.
Were there any? But so who knows exact? Because Nintendo hasn't really explained any of this. Because even though it was like first come first serve, as like they indicated it would be, that I don't know that that's actually how it played out. Because again, looking at reports online, there were some people who said like, I registered within like 10 minutes of it going live and I never received an invite. So did they fall through the cracks?
Yeah.
Was it like
I mean, it's a good question. With the way Gmail has, like emails sorted, I've got like a promotions tab, a social tab, and then just like the regular inbox. And this, not all emails I get from Nintendo go to promotions, but this one did go to promotions. So, I had to like be actively looking for it.
Yeah, but I assume if you like signed up for it immediately
Sure.
when it went live, you were probably. I guess what I'm saying is I think that some people just got skipped for mysterious reasons.
Sure.
Like why exactly how it worked, I don't know. But I was not part of the Thursday wave, but I did get an email about like 8 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, indicating that I was that I could do a pre-order through Nintendo.
Yes, and I similarly on Friday morning, I think a little bit later in the morning, also got that invitation. Now, I had not previously been able to secure a pre-order from Best Buy or Target or whatever. I really just tried from Best Buy, and then when that was like melting down, I was like, let me try Target too. And of course, by then it was too late. But so yes, I was able to. Mark, we can relax. I was able to pre-order the Mario Kart World bundle.
Nice.
Along with the GameCube controller, too many additional accessories, and the Yonobo amiibo.
I mean,
Our long national nightmare is over.
Nintendo came through.
Uh-huh.
And they had Yonobo available as a pre-order, and I think remains the only place in America so far that it's been available for pre-order.
Someday someone will get to the bottom of this and figure out why Yonobo has been unpreorderable everywhere. And I wonder if it's just like a weird quirk of like how he's logged in various systems, and that like when the system launch comes around, that Best Buy is going to have a ton of unclaimed Yonobos that just like arrive. But yeah, very strange situation. I did pick up an additional pair of Joy-Con, which had also not been available to pre-order elsewhere. And I noticed that the Street Fighter Amiibo cards were available to pre-order as well. I had already pre-ordered mine from GameStop because they were thought to be a GameStop exclusive. But I guess Nintendo was just like, nah, we get to sell them too.
Yeah, interesting. The nice thing is that it seems like once you got an invite, the purchasing process seemed
Super
like
smooth.
really smooth because it seemed like Nintendo really metered them out and did it on a pretty slow basis, probably exactly for that reason.
And when you were like adding stuff onto the order, like accessories and what have you, they were all just kind of there. Like they presented to you everything that you could have wanted to order along with your Switch 2. And unlike if you were doing this on Best Buy, where it was just like you were in a queue for like the one specific product, and you get kicked out of that queue, and so you're kind of just like, well, I gotta prioritize the one thing I know I need to get, and then try to pre-order other stuff afterwards, or whatever. It's really kind of a crapshoot. Nintendo had this system in place of like, buy the main thing that you're here to buy, and then everything else is just presented in a list.
Yeah, you went to like a special page that was like, congratulations, and then you could, like you're saying, just go down the list and had every accessory that you could possibly pre-order, including like 4 games.
Yeah, there were 4 games, right?
I think.
Yeah, I forget what all they were.
I think it was like the launch day one, so I think it was like you could.
I think it was most of the launch day ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like Street Fighter 6 for sure, and Mario Kart World, and then 2 more, which I forget what they were.
And then of course like the GameCube controller, like I think you mentioned. So of course by the time this comes out, maybe we will know for sure. So I'm entirely just speculating. Nintendo hasn't said anything. Because when you received an email, you had 72 hours to claim it, and there was no way to indicate, I don't want it.
Right.
Like you couldn't, once you were, so they've been holding consoles potentially for people who decided they didn't actually want to purchase one. But because they went out in seemingly 2 waves or over 2 days, so on Thursday and Friday, since we got ours on Friday, we had 72 hours, which I think expires on Monday night, like as we're recording this.
Sure.
So maybe on like tomorrow, or when this releases on Tuesday or maybe Wednesday or something, the ones that didn't get claimed, they will do another round of invites. We don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. I wonder if they're also waiting to send the next round out on like the next Thursday and Friday. If part of like the strategy is to give people the weekend, or at least like a chunk of the weekend to decide to see the email. Like I think not everyone is as plugged into their personal email as I just think they're giving people a little bit of grace, because if you were to launch it on Monday and you are working like all week long, maybe you don't have the bandwidth to check what's going on the promotions tab of your email until the weekend.
And we know that this isn't the end of it. We just don't know what exactly it means. Like on the page that you can sign up or you can register your interest to get on the list, it indicates that they will continue to do this until it becomes available to sell for everybody.
Right.
So, could that be like, is that months? We don't.
Yeah, who really
we don't
knows?
know. But
well, and so we'd also sort of been prepped with the idea that just because you sign up for a pre-order does not mean that you're going to get it on launch day. But one of the things that along with the pre-order, it says ships by, and then there's a date. And mine says June 5th, right? So, like mine, or at least they're promising for my order that it'll ship by the release date of the Switch 2. So, if they are like planning on having these like some units rolling out later after the launch date, with the Thursday and Friday pre-orders from last week, we've not hit that after release day window yet.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it continues to develop. Compared to something like Best Buy, I feel like or any of the retail pre-orders, I feel like if for people who were lucky enough to get an email, the process was really smooth and you could easily like pick everything that you wanted.
Totally.
So I'm really glad that you were able to secure one. And I hope that our listeners, if you're still waiting on an email, that those like third, fourth, fifth waves start happening soon.
Yeah, because it feels great. You get the email and you're just like, I can shop leisurely. I still had that like rush of adrenaline of like, I need to do it as fast as I can. But yeah, I mean, it's a relaxing, like pleasant process.
Nintendo released their financial results for the fourth quarter of last fiscal year and the rest of their fiscal year, which ended March 31st, 2025.
Yep.
So I feel like the big news out of this is that with the release of their financials for last year, they're now doing some forward projections into the current fiscal year that ends at the end of March 2026.
Yes.
So next March. And with that, we are getting their official forecast for Nintendo Switch 2 hardware and software sales. So they're forecasting that through the end of next March, they will sell 15 million Nintendo Switch 2s, which and for software, like 45 million units of software. But any like the bundled Mario Kart World with consoles, they're not counting. As software.
Interesting.
So with that, like it basically matches the Switch 2, the original Switch's sales through its first 10 months. So the Switch 2 is launching a little bit later in the year. So it's comparing
a little bit later in the year, but way earlier in the it preempts the fiscal year, right? Like the Switch one. Sorry, what did sorry, I need to recalibrate. So the original Switch came out at the very end of a fiscal year.
Yeah, that's right. It launched at the beginning of March. So what they're comparing is kind of like two different things.
Okay.
So actually now I'm not sure. So I'm not gonna. So I'm gonna hold my tongue.
Great.
But what I understand is that they're saying 15 million through the end of next fiscal year, which will, if they reach that, and people think that they're sandbagging it, that is like a low estimate
Oh, interesting.
at 15 million, but 15 million in that time period would be the most successful console launch ever. Not just for Nintendo, but any console ever. And Nintendo said in like the question and answer session that followed the release that it's not a production problem. They can produce more than 15 million, but they're only forecasting 15 million because nobody knows what the economic outlook is going to be
Sure.
for like the world right now.
Right.
And so they're like, we can produce more, but we just don't have any idea if people are going to be able to buy it.
Right.
If like price will become an issue.
Right. Which I think is I mean, it's totally possible that thing ends up being more expensive a couple months after release.
Yeah, it's just so hard to know. Like
Mhm.
nobody can even guess. And so so 15 million is their official forecast. Again, that would make it the most successful console launch ever. It basically matches the Switch's sales in its first 10 months. The Switch sold 14.86 million.
So was that the most successful console launch at its
Previously?
time?
It could be. I'm not sure
Sure.
on that. And then so the original Switch, they're forecasting, this forecast is just through the end of December, not next March, but 4.5 million sales. And then the software forecast through the end of December, from now to the end of December, is 105 million.
Which, gotta say, for like the original Switch software to still sell 105 million copies of something, and they've got new games obviously still coming out this year, including Metroid Prime 4, including the other one,
Pokemon Legends ZA.
And so you have to imagine that a lot of that is being driven by Pokemon, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. Also, the original Switch has sold 152.12 million consoles total.
Pretty good.
And so only the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 2,
Yes,
has sold more, and with an additional, I think that's like 160 million or something like that. So
and that was a number that was recently revised up, right? That like Sony had obviously gotten to a point where they were like, look, it's sold so many, no one's ever going to catch us. And stopped reporting like specific numbers of PlayStation 2 sales. And then in later years have been like, no, sorry, we do have more precise measurements on that. But yeah, it is like 160, I believe.
And then just some general like summary of some of the news that came out of the investor Q&A portion. So yeah, the 15 million forecast, like I said, isn't constrained by production. Nintendo will produce more than that. That's just how many they're forecasting they will sell. The higher price might be a challenge for post-launch sales. They're expecting, like launch sales to be very high, but then it's kind of like, who knows what's going to happen after that?
Right. Once the crazies have had their fill, what do the normies
right,
think
especially
of it?
because tariffs, like if tariffs change dramatically, then that will they will have to rethink the price. Like they are open to changing the price of the console,
right?
Depending on what the tariff situation.
And we're in the middle of tariff situations changing rapidly, right?
Right.
Like, there's talk right now, right, of a deal being struck with China for only 30% tariffs or something like that, down from 142%. And who even? But all of that is like for the time being, and it's an impossible thing to plan for. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Okay, here we go. Top 10 best-selling Switch games published by Nintendo. Number 10, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, 18.25 million. Number 9, Super Mario Party, 21.16 million.
I just want to pause on Super Mario Party for a second because it sold over 1 million copies in this last quarter.
Yeah, that is... actually, I think Super Mario Party sold like 60K.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
But,
you're right.
Super Mario Party Jamboree,
That's right.
sold over 1 million.
And Mario Party Superstars also sold over 1 million. 1.11 million.
Number 8 is Tears of the Kingdom, which happy second birthday. They released 2 years ago today as we're recording this. 21.73 million. Pokemon Sword and Shield, 26.72 million. But Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has now officially outsold it with 26.79 million.
Pretty incredible.
Odyssey, 29.28 million. Breath of the Wild, 32.81. Smash Ultimate, 36.24 million. Number 2, Animal Crossing, 47.82 million. And of course, number 1 with a bullet, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, sold another 6.23 million in the last fiscal year for a total of 68.2 million copies.
Almost 70 million copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's, I do feel like whenever we talk about like the crazy sales successes of the Nintendo Switch, one that I tend to just like gloss over is Smash. It's the third best selling game on the platform at 36 million copies.
Yeah, and when you actually, let me pull this up because I want to make sure that I get it right. But when you look at it, it's like not even particularly close. So the next best selling was Smash 4, and that's if you combine the 3DS version and the Wii U version. It's like kind of like 15 million copies, and Smash Ultimate more than double that.
More than doubles that,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, we could also compare the Animal Crossing New Horizons numbers to Animal Crossing New Leaf, right? I'm not asking you to do that, but yeah, it's just they've sold an insane number of these like high selling games here.
Yeah, New Leaf is approximately 14 million, and that's
like a third, as many
right
as New Horizons.
Yeah. I mean, if you like, let's compare Zelda 3D series. So Breath of the Wild, 34.5 million. Tears of the Kingdom, like 21.73 million. The next best selling is Ocarina of Time, and that's across the Nintendo 64 and the 3DS. So, and that's like 14 million.
Yep. So again, more than doubling. Like the Switch is just dominating in so many different like sectors here, and some of that is just based on there are more game players now. Obviously, they sold way more Switches, but part of the reason they sold so many Switches were because people wanted to play Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild.
Right? Yeah. Mario Kart, just for fun. The previous best-selling Mario Kart entry was Wii, and that was like about 37 million,
which is still
insane.
That's still very impressive.
Totally bonkers.
That's more copies than Smash Ultimate.
Right. Yeah, so that is totally bonkers. And yet, if you look at the bar graph, right, it's
still like doubles it.
Yeah, so no wonder they're launching with Mario Kart World. But it is also so crazy that 8 Deluxe, continues to sell millions and millions and millions of copies a year, and like. I don't I
Will
feel
it
like
continue to sell millions after World?
Yes,
comes
does
out?
World like kneecap it, or is it just both can continue to just, or is it the reverse where 8 Deluxe kneecaps World?
That would be the thing is World is still going to be exclusive to Switch 2.
Yeah,
right. And there's still 150 whatever million Switch 1s out there, which means. How many people haven't purchased Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? 90 million. So like, yeah, I think it'll continue to sell, and maybe even the fact that there is a Mario Kart World out there that people will be excited to like show their friends and family this new game, and then when they get back home and they're like, I just had the Switch, I don't really want to spend $400 to get a new system. I'll just buy the old Mario Kart, which I know to be great. Like I think it. I don't know why they would stop selling copies of 8 Deluxe.
The Nintendo Today app has continued to show off some like smaller features of the Switch 2 that we didn't know about.
Some would say boring.
Some would say boring. Some days it's loving renders of a game pack, and other days
or of a charging cable.
Or of a charging cable. But some days you get something like information that the Switch 2 will include a new software feature. Its battery charging settings are designed to slow battery deterioration, so you can engage a stop charging around 90% feature, which will cause the battery to do just that. And the idea, you see this on smartphones now, is like instead of charging it all the way to 100% capacity, you can maintain the life of the battery longer if you limit the charging, and now the Switch 2 can do that automatically.
Right. And it's my understanding that it doesn't like actually stop it. It just like really slows it. So you
Mm.
can continue charging past 90 even at this setting. It just, won't like cram in that last 10%.
Limited Run Games announced at PAX East that all of their numbered game releases, meaning those games that they're not games that they're publishing as part of a partnership, but the ones that they are like doing themselves.
Right. So like the limited run games has these like two different categories of games. One, excuse me, one is that like they're doing themselves as like part of their publishing initiatives, and then they're also because they are a game publisher that developers partner with them to like basically self-publish their games via limited run. So those we're not talking about here. We're just talking about the games that limited run is choosing to publish on their own.
Which does run counter to a lot of third-party games, which we're
Oh,
seeing.
did we get to the end of that sentence? We clarified what we were talking about, but then did we say that
I don't know if we did.
all of those games that Limited Run Games is publishing will fully be included on the cart, will not be game key cards.
Yes. And as more and more third-party game information comes out, we're seeing that a lot of publishers are opting for game key cards, which again, like, require a full download of the game,
Right.
but work more like physical cards that they can be shared and swapped and sold and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And you and I haven't really talked about it too much on this show, partially because I mean, you and I are such like digital game owners anyway that like I thought about this for a second and then was like, well, I'm just going to download these games, so it doesn't really affect me. I assume that's
Yeah.
but and also there were a lot of games already that required enormous downloads, and there was basically nothing on, or like a little bit on the game card itself. So this didn't seem like too much of a change, but I think we're starting to see a clearer picture that it is a bigger change because of the way it's being, or the volume at which it's being used. That basically, with the exception of Cyberpunk 2077 and the new Daemon X Machina game, at least in North America and PAL regions, those are the only two that are going to be like full on the game card. The list of games that are really just game key cards is long, even for just like the launch window games.
Yeah. And so now we don't know exactly why publishers are opting for using the game key cards in like the volume that they are. But it seems like, and based on some rumors or speculations based on a hack of Arc System Works.
Yeah, so I don't love that we're talking about something that has come out of a hack of a developer. Boo to hackers. But this is sort of enlightening, so we're surfacing it here.
Yeah. So according to the leaks coming out of that, really like Nintendo is only offering a 64 gigabit or gigabyte game card, which means it's like the most expensive way to release a game. I think on like the Switch you had the option of like 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes.
That's right.
And those of course were cheaper, but now it's like you can release your game as a download only game. You can release your game on this 64 gigabyte game card, or you can release your game on this game key card. And presumably because of cost, most of publishers are opting for the game key card.
Right, and this is like something that has been part of like the, not for, I guess, like a little bit on Switch here, but there was a good long time where Nintendo was releasing games and the platforms, other publishers releasing for Nintendo platforms on disc, right? The Wii, the Wii U, the GameCube, special disc, but still. But like, if you think back to buying games for Nintendo 64 or for a Super NES, the size of like the memory in the cart itself, in the cartridge itself, could affect the cost of that game, right? Like, I remember Mortal Kombat 2 for the Super NES being $80. I remember, and we'll just keep listing Mortal Kombat games. Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the Nintendo 64 was $84.99 new. So like, this this is a practice thing for people that like sometimes Nintendo's going to make you buy the more expensive physical media to put your game on.
Yeah. So, and the fact that it's happening so early at, well, actually, okay, what I was going to say is that the fact that it's happening so early at launch makes me think that, like, this will continue to be the pattern, that Nintendo will put its games on a game card, and some third parties will, but for the most part, people are going to opt for a game key card. I guess the only counter to that is that maybe the longer the generation goes on, the cost of the 64 gigabyte
You would think
cards will
yeah.
go down, but then at that point, if people are so used to them just being game cards,
Right.
will publishers ever opt for like the more expensive option, even if it's just marginally more expensive?
Right. And like, obviously like the big downside to game key cards, just like as a thing is, you still need that much memory on your Switch, and the Switch does have extra memory in it compared to the original Switch. But even still, it's finite. So that B, you have to have access to whatever internet connection. If you buy a game while you're traveling and are like on hotel Wi-Fi or whatever, that may be an issue for you. And then, or if you buy, just whatever. You need to make sure that it's on your system already. And then, of course, we don't know how long these things are going to last, right? These digital storefronts are going to last. And if you like pop the game in after it's been like uninstalled from the system and years have passed and the eShop is shut down, can you still download it?
Yeah, so that is, if it's anything like the Wii, the answer is yes. Even after the shop shuts down, like the storefront shuts down, the like content delivery network or whatever it's hosted on still continues to exist. And so, but yes, they does absolutely put a limit on, because someday, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years from the future,
Right.
like that server will no longer exist.
Right.
And and like the game will not be on that cart. That game
Right.
will just not, like the Switch 2 version of Street Fighter 6 will someday just not be playable.
Exist,
it
right.
just won't exist.
But that doesn't make this less like it makes it as secure. What am I saying here? As like timeless as downloading the game digitally in the first place.
Yeah, totally.
It just, you have the added benefit of you can sell it back to a store or whatever. And it's not like they're selling there's not like a Street Fighter 6 that is just game key card and a Street Fighter 6 that has the whole thing on there. So there's not like a two class system of the same game out there yet.
Right.
Who knows if there will be.
Yeah. And also I don't know how big Cyberpunk 2077 is actually going to be on Switch, but let's just say theoretically it takes up the entire 64 gigabytes. Like the Switch comes by default with 256 megabytes of or gigabytes of memory. That means you could put 4 64 gigabyte games on it. So games are like, some of these third party games like Call of Duty is probably going to be enormous.
Right.
Like
it'll
such
be
a
like
huge
100,
download.
Yeah.
So it's a.
Did you get yourself a micro SD?
I did.
X card.
Express.
Yeah.
I did. I ended up getting the like official like Nintendo license one from Samsung.
Yeah.
That I think I'm getting mine from Best Buy when I just bought a bunch of the accessories from there.
Is it the one that's also 256?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that as well. From Nintendo. But now I'm like, do I need bigger? Do I need bigger than that?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but it's so hard to find the
Express ones. That
the
size,
Express ones. And they do make like 1 terabyte and that kind of stuff, but they're impossible to find right now.
Yeah.
So again, it's another thing. Maybe later in the Switch 2's generation,
sure. Right. Great point.
That they'll become more freely available, but they're hard to find now. Anything bigger than 256. Let's see. Virtua Fighter 5 REVO has been announced for Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series. It will include additional content, rollback, netcode support, and more, plus cross-play platform Cross-play across all platforms.
So that's uncommon for fighting games, especially fighting games that are available to play on Switch. Obviously, this is Switch 2, so it's that we're drawing a distinction here. But that sort of means that the Virtua Fighter team is expecting the internet performance of Switch 2 to be vastly improved on like the Switch experience, which is cool.
Also, just kind of tickled me that Virtua Fighter 5 was released the original Virtua Fighter 5 was released in arcades back in 2006.
Whoa!
And there has been like other versions of Virtua Fighter 5. Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown was released in 2021. But yeah, I feel like fighting games are kind of unique in that way that they continue to get like re-released and improved and all that kind of stuff. So you can have a new version of a game that released like 20 years ago, and that makes sense. I'm just waiting for a new version of Street Fighter 2 to come out.
I mean, we got one at the beginning of the Switch's life
yeah,
cycle,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's what's so interesting about like fighting games in particular. Obviously, lots of multiplayer games and like competitive games get regular updates, and that's just sort of like become a fact of life for a lot of those things. But those games don't start life in arcades, right? And they don't have, not that arcades are really even much of a presence in the world anyway, but like if there's a Street Fighter game, it's going to come out in arcades somewhere, right? And people like the maniacs are going to be playing it there, and they're going to be breaking things. They're going to be discovering the exploits. They're going to be inventing combos, right? Like the original Street Fighter 2, that people were doing combos as like an unintended. Capcom didn't know that combos were in the game.
I didn't know that.
It's all just about like frames where you can't react, and if you are able to like cancel out of one move and like start the next move before you're able to recover, that suddenly becomes a combo. There was no like combo counting system in the original release of Street Fighter 2. It's not until Championship Edition and Turbo where it starts like you do a combo and it says like 3-hit combo. They didn't have that language at the time. Anyway, so all of the improvements for these games are born out of people discovering things, playing it in physical spaces, which requires like an additional physical release of the game, which is why I'm excited about Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper release, right? That like yes, it's Street Fighter. Yes, it's Street Fighter Alpha. Yes, it's Street Fighter Alpha 3. Yes, it's Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper. Just crazy little things that it's evolved so much over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, a couple of weeks. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Before we get to that, we don't have it written up in the notes here, but I just wanted to touch on that Grand Theft Auto 6. We recently saw a new trailer for the game, along with an announcement that the game has been delayed to March 26th of 2026. The game was originally expected to come out this year. The trailer, they said that all of the footage was captured on a PlayStation 5, not a PlayStation 5 Pro. I wonder, Mark, do you think it is possible that we see this game come to Switch 2?
I don't actually. I don't think that it's going to come to Switch 2.
Never, or just not at launch?
As I'm prone to say,
Never
forever is a long time, right? But I honestly am guessing no. I am guessing that we won't see GTA 6 on Switch. But I hate to say it, but I've been wrong before. And so it's possible, but yeah, I'm not expecting it.
What about Red Dead Redemption 2? RDR1 came out.
Yeah, it seems possible
Switch.
to me that we'll get like those sorts of ports
Yeah.
from Rockstar, but I don't expect anything like current. Or even will they I'm assuming they'll continue to support GTA 5 for at least a while, and even that I don't expect to come to Switch.
I mean, that's another like Mario Kart 8 versus Mario Kart World thing where it's kind of just like, I don't know, one of these things is an unstoppable juggernaut. It's crazy to put anything out that's swimming in its wake. But you gotta.
Yeah.
Are you first of all, did you watch this trailer for GTA 6?
I did watch it.
What is do you have a history with
I don't really have
franchise?
a relationship with Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I don't really either. Did this trailer do anything for you?
Not really.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where like it feels like it's going to be such a cultural event that if I
Right.
do have something that runs it, then maybe I would check it out of curiosity.
You'll have a
But
Switch too, which
I'll-
we know.
but yeah, that was kind of my takeaway from it. It didn't really change my perception of the series.
What do you make of the fact that it's being pushed into next year and like for, release dates for other video games throughout the course of this year? Like, do you think like publishers breathing a sigh of relief?
Yeah, or scrambling to be
Yep.
able to like release, because maybe they were quietly eyeing, May next year, thinking
Right.
they'd be out of the way of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Right.
And
they're
now they
like,
have to
"Oh, we gotta
decide
get it
like,
out
oh, do we
now."
have to like pull it up? Also, I bet Star Wars is happy that it's at least a few days after The Mandalorian Grogu comes out.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
like if I if it comes to like Star Wars versus GTA 6, I think Star Wars will blink before Rockstar does.
Yeah, I
So,
do too. What's interesting though is that, and maybe I'm wrong and old, but like I still think movie and video game are like two separate experiences, and people can put the game down to go see a movie for the night, come back and keep playing the game.
yeah, you could be right.
But I also I may be way wrong. I forgot that that's right in the orbit of Mandalorian.
Yeah,
and
I
Grogu.
think Mandalorian Grogu comes out earlier, like a few days before,
Yeah.
maybe the 22nd or something like that.
You also got to think that like PlayStation is super happy that Ghost of Yotai, their sequel to Ghost
Oh
of Tsushima,
yeah,
is
totally.
coming out October this year, so that'll be like well out of the way of GTA 6.
And like different audiences, but it's probably good for Nintendo just purely from a like
Yeah, just like a mind share.
yeah, like a mind share
Yeah,
perspective.
that 2025, the year that we're currently in, can be can be Nintendo's year of the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And early enough next year, it'll be the year of GTA 6. And it is going to be. There's no chance that it like flops, right?
I don't think there's any. Well, I feel like we're kind of in a. Well, I guess this isn't entirely true because there are games that definitely flop, but I think that with something as big as GTA 6, it's like maybe it comes out and it has some problems, but it's going to be around for so long that like
Right.
what GTA 6 is in 5 years, in like 5 years after release is probably going to be so evolved, so different from what it launches as.
Yeah. Well, so like the prevalent rumor right now is that the single player campaign is like ready to go and QA'd and is like they could launch that tomorrow, but they are holding it so that they can make the online GTA 6 online as friction free and as fun and perfect as possible.
Which makes sense because that has been the lucrative part of GTA 5.
Right, and that's the part of the reason why they haven't had to make another one in the last 13 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it 13 years? It's something like that.
I would believe it. It
yeah.
came out. Didn't it originally come out on the
PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a regular Persona 5 over here, right? But yeah, I mean, it's GTA 6. Even though, like, you're right, probably not going to come out on a Nintendo platform. Still, just like a cultural behemoth that will be a thing for everyone else to reckon with. So yeah, interesting now that we have that date on the calendar. And do we think they'll hit it?
I think that they announced a date means that they'll move heaven
Right.
and earth to do it. But I think the stakes are so high that if it's really not in shape to do it, I mean, it's over a year from now,
Right.
But if it's really not in shape, I
Well,
do
it's
think they
less
would
than a
move
year,
it.
right?
No, the 26th, right?
Isn't it March 26th or is it May 26th?
I think it's May 26th.
Oh, then I misspoke earlier.
Oh, okay.
May, or I didn't so much misspeak so much as I said the wrong information that I thought was correct.
Yeah, May 26th.
May 26th. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over a year.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, GTA conversation had.
Finally, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Nintendo Switch 2 versions, and we have a new Nintendo Switch 2 version to add to the list. There will be a Nintendo Switch 2 version of Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. Level 5 announced this.
Which only sounds like a Famicom Detective
It only
Club
sounds
subtitle.
like one. Yeah, that's right. The game releases on the original Switch in just a few weeks, May 21st. No Switch 2 version timing yet. We also don't know if there will be like a physical Switch 2 edition or if it'll just be like you buy the Switch 1 game
and then you upgrade it.
You upgrade it, either paid or just like a free upgrade pack. We don't know. But
yeah, well, and you would have to assume that the Switch 2 version would be a game key card.
Yes, if they were to do it.
If they were to release it that way.
But I think it is possible and maybe even likely that what we'll see for these like games that were originally released on Switch that have upgrade packs is that they will just continue to sell the
Switch version.
and then you would just go to the eShop to get the upgrade pack.
That
just out of for like cost reasons.
Yeah, I mean for cost reasons that makes sense. I would still think that, well, and I don't know. I'm taking a little bit of a Stone Age approach to this, where I'm imagining someone going into a store and going to the Switch 2 section, which I know already makes me sound like an old man. But like the Switch 2 boxes are visually distinct. There will be a separate section, and if you're there just being like, I need something to play on my Switch 2, like, would it behoove them to have that box sitting there?
No, I think that's a fair point. Maybe they'll opt for like just re-releasing the Switch, because the Switch version is going to be so much cheaper for them to manufacture.
Sure, yeah.
I would assume, and so maybe they would just like put a sticker on the box that's like works on your Switch too. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like,
it'll be interesting to see Nintendo doing this, right? When like Metroid Prime 4 comes out, in 2 separate SKUs.
Yeah, that's right. How exactly will that work? And what will stores opt to?
Right, what
like
are they
stock?
Gonna carry? Yeah, very interesting. Because obviously, it's going to be, even if like best case scenario, they expect to sell 15 million copies. They have 15 million Switch 2s. They have 10 times that in Switch 1s out there.
Yeah, especially for something like Pokemon, right?
Right.
Like that. For sure, the install base of the Switch is where most of that is going to sell, at least in the beginning.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, man, what a weird time. I love it. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you're not in our Discord, you should email us. We'll send you an invitation. You can hop in. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.